welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
And welcome to our first review episode of A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas.
Woo!
Hi. So, for our changing of who's going to be going first in our seasons, obviously we've been doing like dad, mom, then mom, dad. So this time I have my padre here, my dad, to talk over Frost and Starlight.
Welcome.
How has the journey progressed? So now you're at book 4 now.
See why she did this book.
Mm.
More information, So yeah.
And it's that one Christmas episode, like we said.
Yeah.
The Hallmark Christmas. Is it on the level of a Hallmark Christmas episode? Because I feel like it's a little better than the Hallmark.
Well, with the book, yeah. I mean, I guess that was her way of doing that. Yeah.
Right.
So
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that'd be accurate.
And we're doing it at a good time, so it's right
I
around
know.
it.
It's just like we said before pre-recording. It was it's literally a week until Christmas, and I didn't even freaking realize that.
Yeah. How's that even possible? Where did December go?
And by the time this will be out
A day
Christmas
before.
Eve.
Yeah, Christmas Eve.
Oh, geez. It's like I planned that or something.
You must have, or something.
This will be out Solstice Eve.
Yeah.
But
I can see why she did it. I mean, you're not going to be able to. Well, I guess you could skip it, but you're going to miss stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that.
So I see why she did it. To kind of slow things down and more
Mhm.
info
Mhm.
and backstories.
I think you bring up a good point though, because it also is a slow down book. Because like you get all the info dump of the war and then all that, and so it's like, okay, let's dial it back a little bit. Let's take a little break.
All that building up, and then, okay, let's take a breather. Let's spend Christmas together, solstice together.
No one is allowed to die in this book.
If someone died in these 28 chapters, Jesus.
That'd be so sad.
Well, and them coming off the war, which that was a big thing in itself. So
Mhm.
they're kind of was reeling from that. So I'm not sure how many months that was, but
It said something like, wasn't it 6?
Yeah, I think it was roughly 6 months after.
6 months after the war?
Yeah,
Something like that?
because they
I knew
finished
it was
sometime
a
in the
little
summer.
bit of time, but
Mhm.
still in their minds it was like yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Right. 6 months after war, that's still basically in the war.
Never gonna be the same.
Yeah, so I guess we'll dive in. We kind of got your overall reaction a little bit of it being Christmas and filler. Can you tell us what your favorite and least favorite moments were throughout the book?
Oh, I think the favorite moment was the softball or the snowball fight. I think that was pretty funny. I guess my least favorite was maybe not. Well, I don't know. It was like when Cass raced out of the house and was walking Nesta home. I kind of wanted to see that go a little different, but
Yeah,
she's pretty bitchy right now, so I don't know.
Yeah, that didn't go too well.
That
no.
had to be one of my least favorite because I thought, for the most part, they might get together.
I guess no. I think everybody was. I think even I was pissed about that moment when I first read this because, like, I think we even talked about it in our episodes where, at the end of ACOTAR, she was like a little better, right? Because of their whole thing at the end, and then ACOMAF, she didn't get redeemed, but it was like, okay, she still. It was a weird hilly event sort of character arc. Because then we don't really like her in ACOMAF, and then ACOWAR happens, and actually she's being, very productive, and she's doing a lot, whether
Kind
or
of
not.
helpful.
Yeah, and then she kind of timids out a little by the end, like especially when it gets to crunch time, she's not as outrightly bitchy, and
Mhm.
she's working, she's in the mud, she's helping the healers or whatever. And then this was such a tonal shift that I was like, okay, why are we going like
Right.
this? Why can't she just be on a steady project? Like she's down in the depth again, and also worse than the last time.
Yeah.
Right.
Like now she's not even talking to anyone, at least not anyone we know.
Mm-hmm.
She just became a recluse and kind of on her, by herself, living where she's
Mhm.
living. Yeah,
Living in the one slum in the city.
right. The one part that is not very good. So that was
Somehow
kind of funny too, that they said something about that,
Mm-hmm.
Every city. I thought Valaris was the queen city, and here we have, slums and that.
Yeah.
No utopia ever existed, Dad, where there's not one slum.
There's always a slum.
So that was kind of funny too.
There's always a south side. There's always this is
Right.
Valaris'
Yeah.
wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Or sometimes it's below the city, but she somehow managed to find it. So I guess skill.
Yeah.
Goodness. But yeah, I guess starting then at the beginning, like, because you did kind of touch on, like, it was beginning and what happened after the war, but where did you think about where everyone was? Because if we kind of recap where everyone is at the end, obviously Feyre and Rhysand are doing their High Lord, High Lady duties, and they're becoming more, I guess that's the quote-unquote boring part of that, is that they're actually working.
Yeah.
No adventurous fighting or anything.
No, they're actually just running a fucking court while they're doing it.
And I don't think she realized how, I don't know, well off they are, you know. Maybe she does. But she kind of grew up from a background with nothing, so.
It gets brought up a lot, yeah. Especially when buying gifts.
Rags to riches, you know. So I think she's dealing with that too, you know.
I love how Feyre and her family are from riches to rags to then rags to riches.
Well, they were kind of back and forth, you know. They had it all, then they had nothing, then they had it all again. So it was back and forth for sure.
When are they going to be poor again? I want to know. So obviously we got them kind of settled in, and then we have of course, the sisters. You kind of did touch a little bit about where Nesta is, obviously, and we'll get more into that as we go along. But what did you think about Elaine living in that? So the only people living in the house right now is Feyre, Rhysand, and Elaine.
Yeah. Well, it seemed like they were talking about her. I think she's kind of come to grips with everything, but she's working in her garden or whatever. So she's happy, I guess. I don't know per se.
I guess I would beg to differ about her being like content, because I feel like that's such a freaking ruse. Because she had that one scene with Amryn, and that was like, so how did you get, could you choose anybody? And then Amryn's like, you can't go back, dude. There's
She's
no,
like, well, I never said that.
There's no going back to being human, girl.
Right.
But to go off what you said, yes. I mean, it's supposed to seem that she's content. And also, by the way, I don't know if that's the case. That's me just completely theorizing at this point. I have no idea. Yeah, so she's content in gardening and whatever. And because it's winter, she's not gardening right now, so she's baking.
Right.
And
At least she found another hobby.
But it never really said that she did that at her own home anyway. They had servants or whatever, right? I mean...
Yeah, because it's okay. It seemed like the gardening stuff she did, but it seemed like the servants at her old place didn't let her cook or
didn't let her do anything else.
Right.
Because it's
so
not...
that was kind of a hassle for her that she ran into that, but I think for the most part, I think she's okay with it.
Okay.
I think getting adapt way better than Nesta.
I just think it's weird that it's only them three in the house.
She's kind of awkwardly
think it's weird.
I mean, technically, Nuala and Caradwyn are technically there, but they're not like, they don't have exact room. We don't really know where they stay.
They're just like in the shadows, like, or they have other residences.
So at least Elaine is not alone in that.
Right. And then, Nesta, Bear is basically paying for her.
Which I'll go into that for sure. But then, like, of course, Amryn's she still has her little studio apartment. I don't really know where Moore lives besides, I mean, obviously we'll talk about the little, like, she has her little private 300 acres. Okay, Daddy's a farm guy. How much is 300? Is that a lot?
For one, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, around here, you get into Texas, probably 300 acres that'd be like a half acre around here. But yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Okay, because conceiving the idea of acres is not something I can do.
Yeah,
I can barely
acres.
Understand inches, so
300 acres is a lot.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
just to say that I own 300 acres, yeah, that's pretty big.
So she has like an estate, right, that she also sort of is in, but I don't think we actually get her living in a place besides that. So her, Cassian, and Asriel are kind of like free agents when it comes to where they're staying. It's like, it seems like the House of Wind, the house up with like the 10,000 steps up and down, kind of a hub for anyone to just live if they want to stay there tonight, but like nobody lives there.
Right. To, the House of Wind, to get up there, if you don't have any wings, so you need somebody to fly you up there.
Yeah, it'd be annoying.
Or winnow and drop.
Like, for some people, for some of them, so.
So it's like, but they keep, especially, I didn't realize how much in this book that they talk about the House of Wind and just being like, nobody fucking wants to live there. Like, they brought it up so much when we went through the deep dive, and I was like, that's crazy.
Right.
I think the House of Wind would be so perfect to live in. It'd be away from everyone else, but like, you're kind of at the top, so.
But it's so so big and empty.
There's kind of a power dynamic. I don't know. Maybe I'm just an estate person. But yeah, we kind of get some introductions then to the struggles that aren't like necessarily going to happen, of course, in this book, but seemingly future foreshadowing events, right?
Mhm.
So we get introduced to the Illyrian struggle of the Illyrians having some sort of grumblings about the war, because remember, good old back when the cauldron did its thing and blast into just this mass amount of Illyrians, it is seemingly to them that Cass and Rhys, and I guess Azrael's sort of on the side, they're just lumping them all together, made that happen or put them in the direct line of fire. And I still cannot. I struggle. I'm like, I'm exactly like Azrael when they said that, because that's the whole conflict, right? They're trying to put that on them. They're a fucking warrior race. This is what they're trained to do, to go in the front lines of battle. How the fuck are they being little bitches about it when they're actually on the front lines dying in a war?
They trained their whole lives to do that, and then they complain that they're out there dying.
What do you think about that, Dad?
Well, them going to the camp with Devlin and them having struggles with, some of them, yeah.
Mhm.
So you see that, some of the struggles. I wonder, you said if that's foreshadowing on some of the stuff that's going to happen later on, maybe they rebel. I don't know,
I definitely think that's what they're thinking.
Do they have a good thing going? Do they step out of line or no or yes or, so yeah, there's a little bit of grumblings going on with that.
What do you think about the girls' training?
Well, they've been doing that in the past, so I think Cass wanted to have them do it more, but that's where him and Devlin kind of, bump heads.
Oh, yeah.
Where they've been bumping heads.
Yeah.
Because women aren't meant for that type of thing.
Apparently.
Yeah, I guess you're supposed to be in the kitchen cooking and not fighting, I guess. I don't know.
Especially when they have that conflict of what did he say? It was something about like, well, who's gonna decorate? It's like, I think the boys can handle decorating.
Although it was kind of rough when he's like, yeah, they can help decorate. They have two hands. It's like, well, some of them don't.
I was like, oh,
they can still decorate with one hand.
And then when they, they were getting ready for solstice, so they're, well, we got to have them here, and I want them to train, So it's like, well, okay, what do you do?
Mm-hmm. Trying to compromise best they can, but also, yeah, you're right, Dad. They're setting up a struggle for sure. Whether or not that's going to be they rebel, whether or not like they have some internal civil war going on, like it's hard to tell.
Well, and then too, I don't know if do they know the hierarchy? I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Know the hierarchy of what?
Who's top dog here? Who's, what I mean?
With the Illyrian camps, it's really interesting, right? Because it seems to me like there's the camp lords that like have like Devlin and others, like they all have their individual camps, and then they're kind of in charge, or like they're like a village chief, basically.
Yeah, and there are other lords beneath them, but like one main camp, war camp, like chief
that
leader
speaks for them.
Yeah,
and then there are other like nobility, but at the same time, they're just. I think their idea of nobility is, if you come from a long line, that one warrior, remember his name. Like it's not actual pure. It's pure blood in the sense, you came from the da-da-da bloodline instead of actual royalty. I think it's like warrior race loyalty.
And then it's kind of like the sense of how in Akamath they said, well, all Illyrians are bastards, all bastards are brothers kind of thing. It's like, well, apparently they don't think that, like the Illyrians themselves don't think that everyone is bastards, only certain ones are bastards. And it's like, what defines that?
Yeah, or it's like if a warrior... It's interesting now that you bring that up that I don't actually know why they count Cassian... the reason that they count Cassie and Azrael as bastards is because their mom and dad, or whoever created them, their spawn, were not married.
Oh, got it.
So
because it would make sense though with Azrael, because Azrael his father was noble.
So they were born out of like wedlock, basically. And so they're not counted as... Because apparently the Illyrians are pro-matrimony.
With their backward views.
Well, and it's like what Rhys said, maybe he needs to step back and let Cass do. He didn't want to step on his toes. You know what I mean? So do they know who Rhys Ann is,
I think they do. That's why I think that's why he comes back so often.
I think he wanted to put it in more of Rhys or more of Cassian's, domain, and then he stepped back. he didn't want to step on his toe, you know.
Because I feel like if he shows up too often, then that relinquishes Cassian's threatiness.
Right, the whole thing of like Devlin arguing with Cassian and then turns to Reese of like, is that an order?
Yeah.
It's like, well, if Cassian says it is, then it is.
Right. So
It relinquishes his control.
Step back away from that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So then, speaking of, like, what did you think of the new perspective? So now yes, Dad has listened to the graphic audio, yay, but what did you think of the perspectives not being just in Feyre and Reese's perspective? Because we get Cassian's perspective, we get Moore's, we get a little of Nesta's.
Right. Well, and I see why they did that, to kind of get some of their backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So, with Cassian and his mom. And
What'd you think of that?
Well, that's sad in some ways, you know. But yeah, but then we get his backstory and then Moore's backstory, which that was kind of crap.
Yeah, because we actually got the scene.
Yeah, what she went through. Yeah.
So. I think you're right in the sense of they're transitioning, but also it's also to transition the audience. Because a lot of this was Feyre and Reese's perspective. But they threw in a couple more to be like, okay, because this is going to be how it's going to be for the rest of the series. Yep. It is going to be in third person and it's going to be with different characters, not them.
Yeah. Well, and you said something about that too. And then when the one lady started talking, it's like, okay, who's that? And I'm like, I thought back to what you said. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I get it now. Yeah.
You're talking about Colleen, the third person narrator for those perspectives, but she does a good job.
But we knew that, you know, in the books previous, Moore's dad was a dick and her brothers were all dicks, and we knew that. But you didn't really know what happened.
And we only got a sliver of it too. We didn't even get the whole scene
of what happened before.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I thought that was kind of neat. It was, you got Farrah's backstory from the start.
Oh yeah, I mean we've lived her backstory
going on with that, or with her. Reese and a little bit too, but so yeah, it was.
I think the Cassian thing that was important there was not only the backstory about his mom, but it was also the reason why he fights so hard for the Illyrians thing. Because like the other Bat Boys don't have that sort of loyalty. Right. He wants to make the Illyrians better for his mom and for women like her. So he has you're showing his purpose of actually trying to work with them, and then it also does a lot of description about the blood right, which we didn't have before. Because I'm gonna call it out a second time because it bothers the hell out of me. Is that sometimes when people do podcasts, we didn't know shit about the right, except there was like no magic involved, like wings bound, they couldn't have weapons, and then it was like the mountain for a week. Yeah. I didn't even think we knew about the no weapons until this. Like it was literally just Reese couldn't use his magic and they couldn't fly. And there was little knowledge about what the blood right actually was until Cassian's chapter. And so many people talk about the blood right as if they know what it is throughout the entire first 3 books, and it's like we don't. Right. Cassian's description of it is all we get,
and we had only briefly heard of it before. Some grand right that was dangerous.
Well, and I think that's why Cass wants to get the girls trained too, as well, because of his mom or his mom. You know. So.
Do you think he would make them participate in the right?
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Equal opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna be there,
some of those males definitely would not even try.
Oh my god, that would be so bad.
Free game.
Yeah.
That's so bad.
Good lord.
But yeah, we still get some of Feyre's perspectives, and so we're kind of in the phase where solstice is coming and you have to figure out what to get. The whole scene with Elaine and Feyre walking around and discussing what gifts to get everyone, going into that weaver's shop in the rainbow. I'm curious about that. What do you thought about that?
Yeah, that was pretty cool, and seeing because she had lost her husband, and then the lady talking about it. So yeah, that was kind of depressing in a way, but I mean, yeah,
it was kind of depressing.
It got to her. It got to Farrah. So.
Well, because it's interesting, right, to bring up a tapestry scene, because it's like we get the night court insignia, but it's also the fact that she fucking created a new fabric that no one knows. It's like she created just this black substance that's devoid of all light, and then it's kind of like artist to artist. It's like when somebody, even though you're not in the same medium, says something that you readily understand deep down.
Right.
And I think the more important of that scene not only was, being like, okay, even though something is hard, use your art to get through it, sort of thing. It was also the whole foreshadowing of the end, the big grand reveal of what Feyre's present to Rhysand is, because she's like, oh, she realized from the Weaver that sorry, what was I gonna say is that like she didn't have anything of her husband to remember him by, so she was just all by herself.
Right, and they didn't have any kids. So.
What do you think about that? What do you think about the whole like having a kid in lieu of a partner dying? Because that's rough. That's a rough discussion to go down. Would you rather? I mean, I hate that like would you rather question, but it's like, would you rather be alone without the responsibility of the child, and then you without your spouse, or would you rather, even if it's hard, still have something of your partner's in a child taking care? You know, but then you'd also wouldn't be alone. That's a rough, also real life thing that happens.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it was a tough scene in that regard. What did you think about because I know you said something about Feyre not the poor thing about not buying gifts. I could say as somebody who, you know, when you're transitioning from kind of child to adult, if there's a level of getting stuff for people, and do you think getting gifts for people is hard?
Well, it depends. If you don't, well, how would you say that? If you know them and know what they like, it may not be that hard, but it's harder. It was always hard to buy for, you know, the older people like mom and my mom and dad that has everything, you know. So what do you get them, you know? It could be just a simple like, family picture portrait or something like that, you know?
Yeah.
It just, some of that stuff meant more, and I think you see that in this book as well. It's a little thing. It's not jewelry, or it's not another knife or something like that. You know,
another knife.
They have too many of those.
Oh my goodness.
Like dad, another flannel shirt or something. You know what I mean?
Or socks.
That he never wore, you know, so.
Yeah. What do you think about the fact that Feyre was struggling with the idea of buying gifts for herself?
Well, that was another thing too, because, you know, I don't think she ever did. You know, they didn't have enough money to buy or to do anything. So when she has the money, yeah, she struggled with that.
And I don't really even think she did get anything for herself personally. Like, even the tapestry could be something to be like, oh, I put it in my studio for the kids. Like, I mean, even though she was buying it for herself, there was a greater purpose than just, okay, I'm buying this personally just for me.
Right. But yeah, as far as that, I think, yeah, she struggled with that. You know, she wasn't going to get herself anything.
Yeah.
Do you struggle getting yourself gifts, or is it easy to get stuff? Or like, what, because we talked about this in our episode, like, what gifts do you like to get and what do you not?
Well, I don't know. If you talk to mom, tools wouldn't be an issue. Tools, I'll spend money on tools because you need them, you know, but I'm saying.
Practical.
But, yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, I don't spend a lot of time getting myself something. If it's tools, yes.
I know this for
She
sure.
always say, you never use that. You never know. I might.
Yeah, I say the never know a lot.
So,
Yeah, I
you
know.
know, to me, that's where I'm at, but yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah, sometimes it can be hard. Well, so we mentioned it just a little bit ago, but the scene with Moore in the Court of Nightmares and finally getting a bit of her backstory, what happened with Eris. Now we can use this time to dive deeper into that. What did you think of finally getting to see what happened?
It kind of made sense after hearing that, you know, why she was in the place that she was in. Yeah. I mean, what happened? Yeah.
What did you think of, because Eris is kind of a toss-up for people, right? Because Rhys was kind of one of those characters that, at least this is how my opinion was when I first read it. Not me as Tabitha now. I thought Eris was suspicious. I thought any SJM character who was like, okay, there's definitely evil characters, right? And then there's characters that they might be assholes or a dick or something, but I wouldn't say a heart of gold, but they have good intentions. Eris was suspicious to me because this scene was so bad. And it's not like there hasn't been other instances of him doing quote unquote good deeds. Like, he came for them at the end of the last war and actually helped them do stuff, even though he was a dick along the way. So like, what do you think? Do you think that he's just 2D, that's it? He's just a dick and there's, you know, he sometimes does good things, but only for his benefit? Or do you think that there's something more there?
He was somebody that I would trust at all. So, I mean, to me right now, I don't think I'd still trust him. But, you know, he did come around, you know,
right,
and help, you know, still seeing that. I mean, yeah, I think I'd have one eye closed and one eye open with him, you know.
I agree. I don't think trust him, but I definitely like question more about intentions, because that's sus.
I think he's hiding something. I just don't know what.
Because he was so mean to, like, so...
It was almost like over dramatically mean.
Like over dramatic mean, right? To the point where he was just like, no, leave her, that's it. And then he comes closer to her, says something like, you really don't want to be here, do you, Morgan? And it wasn't even really a question. It was like, I know you don't want to be here. And then he's just, leave her.
Don't touch her.
Which,
Yeah.
we also questioned this, and I don't really know the answer, because ACOTAR isn't really clear about it. But, like, what is there close to death? Because, yeah, she got nailed and bled out for a long time, but is that because, like, how can they actually, I mean, obviously they can be killed, you know, obviously by taking their head off or something.
Right.
The very dramaticness of a death scene. But it almost seemed like she was on her deathbed in that scene.
Well, they're close to death and are close to death. We'd be dead.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
You know, they're close to dead, but still hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
I feel like it was kind of, she was bleeding out so much that her healing couldn't keep up.
Yeah, that seems like how it's described, for sure.
It kind of felt like to me that, you know, he had his son. He didn't want her. He just didn't care. He didn't want her.
Eris? What?
Yeah.
His son, Daddy?
Well, no, the dad. I don't think the dad wanted her.
Oh, Baron.
Oh, yeah, I think, would Baron even have approved that marriage? I mean, I guess he did.
He did technically because they wanted more for her lineage, but then I don't know if he would have wanted her after she was sullied.
Baron also is, well, for sure not that, but also Baron seems to already abuse his own wife.
Yeah.
So I don't know what he would have done with more, if it would have been a thing where he'd just lock her up or something. But for Kier, it was definitely an alliance with Autumn, which he already has anyway, which he didn't even need to marry her off. He got it just now anyway. That's what that whole scene is.
Like, so Moore went through that for nothing.
It's also setting up the future problem of, okay, are Kier and Eris to be trusted? In a sense of they're working together. They're also creating an alliance. And then the whole Kier coming to Valaris thing, which is a future inevitability, which they can't avoid. So,
Well, they give him that right, and Reese did, you know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I hope you want him there or not.
He made that deal though. In the last book, he made the deal.
I know.
He can't go, but he's literally going to make it so that nobody in Valaris interacts with him.
Right.
He's like, do not take anybody from the Court of Nightmares.
Do not feed them. Do not let them shop in your stores. Just leave them out on the street. Ignore them.
Which I said was kind of racist, isn't it? Because, like, are all the Court of Nightmares people bad?
Not necessarily, but yeah, I guess it is kind of racist in that sense of like, don't serve anyone of this. It's discrimination. That's what it is.
Okay.
Don't serve anyone from here.
Because maybe there's some good Court of Nightmares people. I don't know.
I mean, Moore came out of the Court of Nightmares.
I'm just saying. But yeah, it sets up that also unanswered conflict as well of that scene.
So, what did you think of Feyre going into that boarded up building, that abandoned building, and finally painting after what seems like forever?
Yeah, I thought that was, for her, I think that's healing for her. In the sense that it's her mind off everything else, you know?
Yeah.
And she had been previously in there, and that lady told her to come back, or, you know, she was kind of hesitant, I think.
Yeah.
So, but then she did go back, and I think that was healing for her pain again.
Did you like Racina?
Yeah. I thought she treated her different than, she treated her just like a person, not like highly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
She sounded so late casual in the graphic. It was funny.
Yeah, she talked to her just like we're talking now. So, and I think there was a little bit of bond there too, you know, like trust or whatever. She knew she or whatever, but yeah.
I think that sequence of events was cool because she first goes and then she's kind of looking outside the rainbow, right? And then Racina stumbles upon her and then she's like, hey, you know what? Got a painting class on Wednesday nights. Why don't you come? And then it's over the course of the book that she starts to, I don't know, make friends? That's a bad way to say it.
Get to know the other artists a little bit more.
Open herself up, I think.
Yeah.
Because she keeps like saying she feels bad for everybody and all these, she takes everything all on herself. Oh, like if only I had done more. And it's like, okay, you did the best you could, bitch. I don't understand why like you're trying to put blame all on you for this.
You literally defended the rainbow.
She saved them. I mean, but I think her going back and talking to people, seeing all the bad stuff happen, the one, well, I lost my husband, or, we lost a girl that owned, or the family that owned the building, or whatever, you know what I mean? So she's hearing all these bad stories that,
Yeah, because she's like, oh, I saved people, but I didn't save her, though.
Yeah, and then I didn't save him, or, I didn't, it's all coming back. You couldn't save everybody.
And so it's rough wrestling with that,
Right, that was getting to her, yeah.
For sure.
But then when she went back, I think it all, come full circle, and it seemed like it was healing for her.
I mean, I could understand wanting to have a space aside, because Reese kept trying to bring up, oh, you can use the family room to paint. It's like, okay, I don't want to paint where there's like a bunch of people. I can say that as an artist for fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there would be too many distractions in that house. Yeah, with everybody coming in and out.
Or the light was too wrong or whatever.
Yeah.
There is something about having a specific space for your art, which is important to creating the art.
And I guess people who aren't really artists or don't have an artistic element, I think they get it, but also don't. That makes sense. Somebody
It's like doing anything. It's like doing modeling or anything like that. Doing models and stuff. You got to have a place to do it, and you got to be got to be where nobody's at, nobody's around. And I think that was what it was for her.
I'm sorry. I don't know why it was when you were talking that I was just, oh yeah, and the porn stars, they have to have like their own space as well, real artists. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I was thinking, I was like, oh, other avenues, and I don't know why that was the first thing.
Well, I suppose that'd be true, I guess.
Right? They have to have a blank space, right?
It's like anything else.
But I think for somebody who isn't an artist or like, the idea of having a space to yourself, I think that's something more people a safe space for somebody, whether or not they're like an artist or not, that just feels good to them, where they can go and feel safe. That's kind of the equivalent. So then, of course, again, not only with the foreshadowing, but the lore dump and new characters. So what did you think about the Emery scene? I know we talked a little bit about this off camera, but what did you think about Cassian's interaction with the one Illyrian girl in the Windhaven camp?
Oh, and in the shop, you mean? Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool when he laid the money down and she didn't take it all or so much. And they're still proud, they're not gonna. And I think he thought a lot about that too. She was proud of her, so she wasn't gonna, take all his money or whatever. But
I still think it was crazy that Cassian had a moment where he's like, yeah, some of the Illyrians don't take my money. And I'm like, it's money.
Yeah. Well, and she'd had, she had lost part of her family or some of her family.
Her dad.
Yeah, and she was running the store.
Yeah, because the Illyrian succession line is, it goes to the closest male relative, but there isn't any close male relative, so she's literally the last person, so she's a woman, and so nobody wants to go into her store.
Yeah, and she was barely getting by.
And like all the other stores are like sold out and everything, and she's fully stocked.
Which legit does not make any sense, because if they're in the Windhaven camp, which they are, then they have women that are actually like training to become fighters, whether or not it's half-assed or not. So I cannot fathom how there's like, what do they think? That the clothes are tainted because it's a woman touching them? I was like, aren't they touching your clothes anyway when they do your laundry? Right. So why the fuck does it matter if she's selling them or not?
Well, I kind of wondered about her dad, if that was something that maybe they didn't get along with him. And then, that all come down on her. I don't know. They didn't say, but...
What do you think about the fact that she was clipped? Because we finally meet an Illyrian woman that has clipped wings.
Yeah, that was different too, yeah. And he's seen that, and I think he felt sorry for her.
Well, I think is also like, because her dad did that. Or at least that's what it's implying.
Yeah.
That her dad had deep-rooted roots of Illyrian customs and cut her beside it being illegal.
Right. So there might have been something there. I don't know.
Doesn't seem like too much of a nice guy.
Right. That's why I was thinking maybe we're not gonna, give our money to him, So.
You'd think that they'd give it to the daughter, though, but whatever. Whatever.
Well, yeah, after everything had transpired and he was gone, yeah.
They're just backwards.
So, with the Illyrians, are you interested in the Illyrian threat plot? Do you think it's going to be a civil war? Do you think they're going to rebel against the Night Corps? Or do you think it's going to be resolved?
Well, I don't know. There's still definitely some animosity there. I think you can see that a lot of it was coming. So, it may be down the road. I think that's kind of foreshadowing what's going to happen.
Interesting. So then the other, I don't want to get into it too much because I know we're going to talk about the Lucian scene, but also we do get cameos from people, which is good. Lucian, Vasa, and Jurian get brought up before we see Lucian later, right? And so there's a lot of that. That's also another piece of the 4-piece puzzle here, is that, Vasa is still around, Jurian, the humans, what's going to happen there with the human queens, whatnot. And so all we know right now is that none of the human queens have been seen. Apparently they're just holed up in their castles, which to me suggests...
Specifically the joint castle.
Yeah, so that's not good, but also I don't know where they are, because I was thinking, I was like, they're dead for sure. Or at least everyone but the one that turned Fae.
Right. I kind of wondered about that too, if they're still even around, so I don't know.
It's just like, yeah, they're in the castle, and it's like they're rotting there.
Yeah, nobody's seen them. Yeah.
Corpses.
And the fact that they still can't get into that castle is wild to me.
Yeah.
Asriel still cannot get into that place.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole continent thing is also, like, I think it's kind of interconnected. That's one of the interconnecting things, is the continent plot with all the Hybern loyalists, of course, with the Moor thing, which we'll get into, but that's kind of like a conjoined problem. Because, like, the whole continent is an issue, but it's also, like, the Fey territories on one front and then the humans on another front. And Vasa and Jurian are holed up in the southern part of Prithian. And the fact that Vasa is still off the hook it's wild. It's
somehow she's still here.
How is she not being forced to go back to the continent under the sorcerer or whoever the fuck it was, right? It's like, where's that plot line going?
Yeah.
So what do you think about all that?
Well, and the wall is down. Where's all the, that where, you know, whose land is what?
Mm-hmm.
So is there going to be a fight over that, you know, of what, okay, that's mine. No, that's mine. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
that's, you know, that might be foreshadowing too, see where the land is going,
Mm-hmm.
who gets what.
A lot of interesting geographical politics going on.
Yeah.
Which very much intrigues me.
Yeah, well, yeah, I kind of wondered about that. But.
Well, because then it brings up my second point of, I totally forgot to put the Tamlin scene in here. I totally forgot about him. There was so before the solstice scene, Rhys goes, because after the Court of Nightmares, basically Eris tells them that Tamlin isn't doing his job, and that, because he is the one, if we're talking about geographic location, he is the only territory that spans the whole wall.
Right.
And if he isn't doing his High Lord job, and he's not, and he doesn't have people to protect it, then there's no barrier between, or there's no protection between the humans and anybody who wants to come across.
Right.
So Rhys goes over there with a sort of purpose. Like, I think the actual purpose was to talk about the threat, and then it turns into him just having at him.
I do almost feel bad for Tamlin with how
Mhm.
Rhys lashed out.
Well, yeah, he has basically nothing. He lost pretty much everything.
The manor is, what did you think about that whole scene? The manor being empty, him going, and having to scrounge up their own food because the servants aren't there anymore.
Right. Yeah, I thought that was.
What did you think about how Henry sounded? Wasn't it sad?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there was a little sound to his voice that was.
He sounded
Sound.
so depressed.
Yeah.
So defeated.
But Lucian also went over there too, and what, they got fight, didn't they? Or
He was
what?
there originally, and then Rhys kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
And then Tamlin kicked him out after that discussion.
Right.
Come on, Rhys, really? He already suffers enough.
But yeah, there's, well, I would say animosity. I probably would, but there's still a lot between them two, you know.
Do you think he deserved Rhys's lashing? Like, his lashing out at him? Telling him that he deserved everything he got?
I think he already knew that. I mean, I don't think he had to hear it from him, but I think he already knew that.
I think it was also just for Rhys, though, as well. Because, like, even though if Tamlin already knew that, he was letting it go. Like,
Right.
he was letting him have at him because he's never felt like he's been able to do that. So, that was such an interesting scene. Because I was like, I knew Tamlin was going to come back in the fold, but I didn't think he was going to have 2 cameos in one episode. So, I was a little, or sorry, in one book.
And
Sorry.
be even more depressed the second time.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
That was rough.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we've got everyone finally coming together and finally all arriving back in Valaris for Solstice.
Solstice.
Preparing for it. How did you like the fun decorating type scenes with the inner circle, them just interacting as a family again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that goes along the lines of Christmas, you know.
Mhm.
All that, being around their family, and I think that's what Rhys was wanting to, because Cass wanted to stay up at the Lyrian camp. He goes, no, I want you back here in 2 days, you know.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think that was that. And then letting their hair down, drink, you know.
Oh, it
That was
was-
all part of it, being close to you're close to. Yeah.
The drunken decorating.
Yeah. I
And
thought
then
that
Az
was-
coming to fix it.
that would have been something to see, you know.
I think it was good. You're right, because then everyone kind of showed up with each other. It was like Farrah was there, and then Cassian showed up, and then Azrael did, and then Moore was there, and then Amryn shows up.
Angry Snowball.
Yeah, in her white big coat. And then she's like, Varian's coming, deal with it. I was like, okay.
You know. Well, that kind of reminded me of some stuff that happened around Christmas time, too. Well, it's cool.
Can I know what that is? What are you talking about?
Oh, there's just certain things. I mean, I can remember going to get a Christmas tree, and it was like 6 or 7 feet tall. And by the time Dad got done with it, putting it in the thing, we had to put it on the table because it cut too much off. And so that was funny. Looked like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree, you know. But I mean, there were some things that, yeah, when we were younger, you know.
Yeah. I think that was also the point of this book as well, is to like have these mini scenes where it's like we have fun with the characters that we like, because as characters characters we like. If this wasn't with side characters that I gave one or two shits about, then this wouldn't be fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
But we like Cassian, we like Feyre, and we like the interactions, and then especially with Amryn coming in and being a very specific comic relief. I know you really loved her scene at the dinner table when they're talking. And she's talking about how, because she's now high fae instead of immortal, that she has to eat while also have to shit and pee and everything.
And the fact that they were just laughing their asses off about her having to figure that out.
With her bowel movements. Like, I can put some porta potties up, like, around the street.
Right, yeah. Because, Reese, or she was saying something about, when she walked home, if she had to go or something like that. He said, bodies around the city. Yeah,
it's like, you better fucking run back to the apartment then. Like,
just like the rest of us.
Yeah, but hearing her talk about it, and then the boys laughing like crazy.
Specifically, you really like Cassian, don't you?
Oh yeah.
My father like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
John's
I first started liking them when Farrah was first over there, and they were outside, trying to, okay, prick, open up the door, Yeah, I like.
What a good first impression,
right,
of a character.
Yeah. Now here we are after the war, and it's just like, oh, he's still the same.
3 books later.
That's sweet. It's really sweet. So we kind of touched on Nesta earlier and how she managed to find the slums of Valaris. First of all, like, what do you think of Nesta now with the company that she's keeping, the fact that she's going to these seedy taverns and just finding guys to bring home, basically. So what do you kind of think of her now with how she's currently living her life?
Well, like I said before, I think she kind of became a recluse and went back into hiding, but then she still gets out. But like I said, she gets out and goes to the old bars and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's her way of coping with everything that she has went through. I don't know.
Or not coping with?
Not cope with it. I don't know. But, to have people, she's not one to be around her people, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's too hard. I don't know.
Maybe this is my, secondhand read of this, but it's almost like she's trying to say, similar to Elaine throughout their whole interaction, is that, well, why do they have to be my people? Okay, hear this. Obviously we know the inner circle is good, but it's almost like Feyre is trying to be okay, I'm not trying to be anti-Feyre about this, because I think she's 100% right. I think she's trying to help Nesta with the community, but Nesta's not building the relationships on her own. It's like, it's just because I'm Feyre's sister that you like me, or that you tolerate me, or something. Why can't we just bond on our own? Why does it have to be under Feyre's shadow? And I think that bothers the fuck out of her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but they're family. I mean, then I don't know if she don't want to be around. She was okay before she got, in the first book, she was family oriented to say. But now she's, wanting to get away from that. But two, it even showed in some of the bar scenes that they didn't know who her sister actually was until that one scene, Yeah.
When she goes to look for her, and then the guy she's playing cards with, Nesta doesn't even look up, but then they're like, oh, the High Lady.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Right, yeah.
They have to know that's, if they know what Feyre looks like, but then also it's funny that you bring that up, because the Weaver didn't know what Feyre looked like either. So if they know what she looks like, then Nesta looks very similar to her, at least in eye color and in hair color. Yeah. So it's crazy that they don't know her. Or if she does, even if she says her name, I'm Nesta, then someone should automatically know what that means.
But she probably doesn't, honestly. She probably doesn't introduce herself to any of the guys she's been playing cards with.
If she's bringing someone home to have sex, there's no one name basis.
Yeah.
It's hey you, and then we're going.
Probably very little talking.
Yeah, but, and like I said, when Farrah's out and about in town, I think for the most part, everybody knows her. I think everybody would know her. Yeah. Maybe they don't. I don't know. But I would say, when that bar scene happened, I think Nesta was sitting there going, shh, okay, whatever, But, and the guys sitting there, they knew who she was.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it could also be the part of Nesta is down in those slums, so probably they wouldn't ever expect the High Lady to be down there. And so maybe that's one of the reasons why Nesta has decided to be there. She's like, yeah, no one knows who I am down here.
Well, that could be too.
I'm not trying to give Nesta a pass for her bitchiness, but it's definitely the only reason that they're friends with these other people is because Feyre, and it's almost like they just got thrown into it. And it's like, okay, these are all good people. You're supposed to be friends with everybody. It's like, that's not necessarily true. Like, you don't don't have to have close bonds with everybody that Feyre knows.
That's not how making friends works.
Yeah, but on Nesta's, I don't think she was really a person to start with.
No.
Even before she got changed, she wasn't a person.
That's true.
So
That's true.
this is kind of right in her wheelhouse, I guess.
Well, what do you think of the fact that Nesta is like building up a tab basically on Reese's expenses?
Oh my god!
Not paying her rent, but then she's also like just spending all of this money that's Reese's money.
Yeah, that's funny too. I mean, and I think that's probably one reason why she showed up. You know, it's for the money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
shit. If that place is as bad as it says, the rent must not be that high though.
That's true.
Well, yeah, not for them, yeah. But it's funny she would, how she was brought up, that she would have a place and have a family. She don't want
It definitely, her character has shifted though, right? To where I don't think she was very family oriented to begin with. I think she was Elaine oriented, like, cause she didn't really give a shit about her dad, and then he died in front of her. And then Elaine, she sort of wanted to protect from everything. And then Feyre never got that. So I don't think that their family has ever been like a family dynamic that would make sense.
The only one supposed to do was Elaine. But now that's not her anymore either.
Yeah.
Elaine can't even get her to do anything.
And that's what changes about her character that's kind of jarring to the audience, because it's like, okay, wait, Elaine tried to go get her to do something and she's not doing it and basically told her to fuck off. Why is she doing that?
Right.
Going back to Nesta, I think what makes her such a crazy but interesting character is that she's such a proud person and stubborn, but at the same time, she has the gall and carelessness to ask her sister for money.
Right. They've just had like this big, small argument, and then Feyre's walking away, and Nesta's like, by the way, my rent's due.
It's like she somehow at the same time wants things to be handed to her, while then also at the same time being stubborn about, well, I don't need help. It's like, what?
Yeah, well, you need help with rent, but how are you paying to go to the bar every all the time,
And it's not like she's doing anything.
Well, I was going to ask, they never really said, first books about when Feyre's birth was, never really
not the first book.
It was said in the second book, Dad. It was the longest night of the year. It was a detail that was, it was cute and romantic because we remember it, but also I could understand how it could pass you by.
Yeah. And then they never had, in the, what do I want to say, in the regular people world, did they have Christmas,
No, they don't know. They didn't have holidays.
Mm-mm.
No. That's what's also weird about that for the sisters, is that they've never had a holiday like this.
Yeah, not in their lifetime.
Mm-mm.
So they don't know what it actually is.
Mm-mm. Yeah, but Rhys said that because Feyre was born on the winter solstice of the longest night of the year, that they were meant to be together, which was cute. Like, you were meant to be my high lady then, because you were meant to be the lady of the night court because you were born on the longest night of the year.
And it surprised him when he heard. He's like, wait, actually?
Mm-hmm. So
when he found out when her birthday was?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the longest night of the year is the winter solstice, Daddy. So it's that day. I think the last thing about Nesta that I wanted to say before we continue is, what do you think about the fact that it is brought up later, but the fact that she's not a virgin anymore? That she just gave it up to some rando Fae guy, and
yeah, I thought that was funny that she put that in there.
Well, because if they were trying to put Cassian and Nesta as love interests, it's another example of SJM doing one of those other ones where it's like, okay, this isn't the first time. It's like she had her slut hoe phase, and now maybe Cassian. I still think Cassian and her are endgame.
Gotta be.
They have to be.
We won't take no for an answer.
But I think that the fact that they fought just makes it cement in my mind more. But I think it's another example of like how Feyre was with Isaac. Remember, the human that we barely remember was that she had sex with him a lot before she was with Tamlin, and then she was with Tamlin a lot before Rhys, and then it shows a more realistic dynamic of, yes, people have sex before they get with another person. It's not just, this is the person I'm with and I've always had sex with this person and like I haven't known anything else. So it's right. I think it's just nice. It's setting up
sex with other people before you finally settle down.
Yeah.
Well, they never talked in the first book about Nesta doing anything, really.
Mm-hmm. Nesta was the last one to lose her virginity.
The oldest sister and the last one to lose it.
It's the last one.
Because even Elaine lost it to Grayson.
Mm-hmm. That's in the text.
Right.
But yeah, so then of course we get to the solstice day. We get to the birthday morning scene where Rhys very cutely, it's very, I don't want to say child romance, but again, you've been married for a long time, but it's almost like new marriage sort of birthday morning, where it's like, okay, I'm going to put gifts on the bed, and then you're going to wake up, and then we're going to do this thing, and then proceed to have sex. Morning sex. What'd you think about what he got her?
No, I thought that was
Like the paint stuff.
yeah.
A new sketchbook to fill up.
Yeah, we finally get it was like a couple books before he's like, oh, I want you to draw me nude. And then it's like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
My birthday gift to me.
Yeah.
And then he said something about, he's like, yeah, that's an accurate scale.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was funny.
And then, of course, it proceeds, then the Bat Boys steal him away for an unknown event that we didn't know until it got revealed. But before we get to the snowball fight scene, I just love how, especially because Dad listened to the graphic, I love how they struggle when they get him up. They're just like, they're both like saying stuff like, oh, I'll promise we'll bring him back, in one piece.
Yeah. Yeah, that was almost like a scene from like a bachelor party or something.
Yeah, very much so.
We're gonna take him, but we might bring him back, we might not.
That is the vibe.
You've been to a bachelor party. I mean, yeah, obviously you were married, but your own bachelor party.
Yeah.
Have you gone to somebody else's bachelor party, or did you just only go to yours?
I don't know. I think it was just me. It's just my own.
No, you went to. Fuck. You got to go to Ben's, didn't you?
No, I didn't get invited.
I thought you went fucking paintballing with them.
No.
Damn it.
No, I didn't.
Sorry, my sister's ex-husband, when they were that night, I
left and I think I came home.
Damn it.
I don't think I was invited.
I really thought you did. They went paintballing. The guys went paintball, and I really wanted to go because I was really young, guys. I was like 10. And so the girls were doing like the boring shit of like playing games up in their room, and I was like too young, so I wasn't invited to go up there. And so I would have rather gone paintballing. So I'm sorry.
You're one of the guys.
I thought you did. I thought you went paint. But anyway.
No.
Well, damn.
Because Mom was she's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so then the next big scene after that is the Lucian scene, which he actually comes and he brings gifts,
Right.
which we find out later was alcohol for Feyre, and it was gardening gloves for Elaine.
Magical gardening gloves.
Which she rejects fully. Like, she did not like that gift at all.
Yeah, and I thought his trying to talk to her, she didn't want to talk. She was just like,
She didn't say a goddamn word. She didn't say anything.
And then ran away the first moment she got.
Well, then when he left, I think she come out there to him, and he was gone, right?
No, Feyre went to go talk to her because she was making tea.
Yeah.
Had only just put the kettle on.
I wanted to see them together as well.
Oh, you do? Okay, I have so many questions about this, but okay, so the Lucian scene was kind of a lot to unpack, right? Because there was a lot there. Because let's go by step. We have Lucian and Elaine, their dynamic, right? So it was very jarring to me after reading ACOTAR, because then there was a little subtle hint at the end when Lucian, Feyre, and Elaine are all standing by their dad's ashes. And she's like, well, why don't you come and live in Valaris? And she extended that sort of olive branch. And Lucian has his own apartment. Apparently he has an apartment in Valaris that he comes to stay at occasionally.
He was tired of staying at the townhouse.
Because he also doesn't want to be I agree. I wouldn't want to be under the same roof as all of them. Yeah. And God, she was totally bullshitting it. That whole olive branch extension of, come and, see what happened. She didn't say a word. Right. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. So stupid.
Didn't he? I understood what she said, though, because, of course, at the end of the conversation when Lucian leaves, she says, why? And I talked about this in the podcast, and maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. I'll see your thoughts on this. But, she said something of, he brought a gift, so does that mean he's owed my time?
Yeah. Does that make title to my time?
Which, no. Just because he brought a gift doesn't mean, you have to go over there and, suck on his face. That's not what we're saying. It's more of, hey, somebody bought you a gift. Can you at least fucking say hi, maybe? Or some sort of nice pleasantry. But there's not even that.
Right.
So what do you think's going on there? And, am I right? Or, what's your perspective on that?
No, I think you're right. I mean, she's just kind of blowing him off.
But do you think he's being too strong of guy, or do you think that he's creating too much space? Because I think he's giving her way too much space.
Yeah, I think so. But he's not gonna force himself on her. So
yeah, no.
I look for him to just move on.
You just want him to give up on her?
I guess that's what's gonna have to happen.
Oh.
He kind of is in a way, though, just because he's not spending any more time. He's not trying to get close to her.
Are you on the Lucian Vasa train?
Probably.
Oh. Okay. Okay, I'll say that in a second. Sorry. There's so many thoughts with this scene. So I'm not on the Lucian Vasa train. I think it's a misdirect. I think Lucian looks to Vasa as kind of a replacement for Elaine. Because I also think she reminds him of Jasminda being a like lesser down person and being strong, whatever. I don't think Vasa likes him. I think Vasa likes Jurian.
I think Vasa and Jurian are a thing.
For sure. Because I said to myself, imagine two eligible bachelorette so we find out right through this scene that Lucian, Vasa, and Jurian all live together, and they're called the Band of Exiles.
They've got a manor in the human lands.
And they all live together, and the thing is, Lucian is like bouncing from court to court though, and he's not at place a lot of the time. You telling me those two aren't in there doing something by themselves?
They probably are.
Also, I don't think Vasa would want to be with somebody that's not human.
Probably not.
I doubt that. Even though she's not really technically human herself.
Right. She's only human half time now.
Yeah. And Jurian's fucked up enough. Like, he's
500 years old and
he doesn't care.
Revived from the dead.
Where do you think that's going to go then? That Lucian is now exiled from Spring. Tamlin fully kicked him out, threw his stuff onto the front porch and said, Punched him, yeah. What do you think?
It's funny, he said something to Farah that you're going to need him.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need Tamlin.
You're going to need Tamlin before the dust settles.
Yeah, whatever that meant. And then Rhys, Farah has forgiven Lucian, but Rhys had, I don't think. So there must be a little animosity there, too.
Do you think Rhys should forgive Lucian? I mean, I don't really understand why Rhys doesn't.
Well, I'm with you on that. I don't understand why.
I know, it's like he still blames Lucian for not helping Farah more.
And I get that part. But also, like, if she's forgiven him at this point, why
you should forgive him. Yeah. She has, so,
Rhys is petty as shit. That's the real answer. But I think Lucian's arc is interesting because I think if I'm putting this, now that you know a lot of it going into Silver Flame, now we can kind of say this out loud and not be, it's almost like the time, the people and the events are intertwined, right? Because we talked about the continent, we talked about the human queens, and it's like, Lucian is kind of tied up in that in a weird way. Because he's tied up with Vasa, there's like a level of, and he was on the continent, like it's almost like those story arcs are going to intermingle. And then the whole Illyrian, Cassian, Nesta thing is going to totally intermingle as well, because just by connecting characters and connecting time events.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I think it's interesting to kind of piece those together, that this is going to happen for this or the fact that even more is now going to be part of the puzzle piece for the continent conflict. Like, are Moore and Lucian going to have, not them together. I just
Is that even a ship?
I mean, them being intermingled in the plot, in a plot sense.
Both of them kind of being emissaries and diplomats.
Yeah. And so it's interesting to see where everyone's going. And Lucian brings that very interesting character to the table of where is he going? Because he's kind of just everybody's friend and everybody's go-to talking point, gossip and secrets. And it's like, where is he headed? Because I think it's fully on your prerogative to think that Lucian should move on. I mean, I think at this point, he deserves so much better than Elaine. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to have to force to be together somehow. And force proximity trope or something like that. Are you more of on the Azrael Elaine train?
No, I don't so. No, because, I don't know, we don't really hear a lot about him, do we? We heard a little bit, but...
There's very subtle hints in this book where she'll just be like, Azrael! Like, whenever... She definitely does not like that trope.
So
you don't think them two, you don't think?
No.
Okay. So is Azrael just on his own then?
Well, it kind of looks like to me, yeah.
Yeah.
My opinion, better alone than with Elaine.
Yeah, better alone. Yeah, Elaine's just too sus for me. I think
until she figures her own shit out, like it's...
So I don't know about them, but I think he needs to just move on, because she's obviously, I don't know.
And I think that's what the Vasa misdirect is going to be. I think it's going to be misdirected into thinking that they are going to do something, and then Vasa's going to be like, no, you don't want.
But Elaine's not going to say that and be like, hey, get away.
But then Elaine's gonna grow and she's actually going to like him. Because as soon as Lucian finds somebody else, she's gonna be like, well, why does he want her now? Fucking called it.
Her getting jealous?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
All those Artron sisters are jealous type.
They are.
But still, they don't realize what the all the mate thing has to do with anything either, you know.
That brings up it brings up an interesting plot point, right? Because Lucian and Elaine are the example of what would have happened to Feyre and Rhysand if Rhys told her too early and not let her fall for him on her own.
Right, because, when you brought it up to her, like, oh, you're my mate. Who says who?
And saying that in the middle of Hybern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so, that...
There's more of an entitlement there to, instead of them actually falling in love and getting to know each other, and then the mate thing getting brought up. So it's like, this is our first instance of somebody being told before they even know each other that they're mates, because none of the other ones were like that.
Or for Elaine even knowing that mates exist.
Yeah.
Well, right, that's what I was trying to get at, because they're from a different world, you know. Yeah, now they got changed, you know.
Yeah. Is she going to go with the punches, though, is the real question.
Some way Elaine's so, I don't know, ditzy that she still thinks that other dude, you know.
Grayson.
Like, dude, I don't think she even wants you.
I think he made his intentions very clear.
Yeah, but I don't think he can get off of that, you know.
He doesn't want to pay.
For some reason.
Oh my, for some reason. Even though she's probably more beautiful than she was before. Whatever. But yeah, it's just, the Lucian scene brings up a good dynamic. It brings up Tamlin being brought back into the fold, just like you said. It brings up the Elaine Lucian shit. It brings up the Vasa, the Queen's thing. So it's a lot of definitely like meaty foreshadowing.
Right.
But then of course we get the nice, after that very intense kind of scene, then we get the very nice, like, Moore tells her to kind of back off and say which she should take her own fucking advice and not mingle into other people's relationships. Mm-hmm. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
And they have the snowball fight scene where they're laughing and throwing, and Azriel wins the snowball fight. Were you surprised that the snowball fight was a thing? Because again, you didn't know going in, and they kept like hinting at what this fun solstice tradition was. Did you expect that to be what it was?
Well, I don't know if I expected it to be a snowball fight or something like that. You know, but that, you know, goes back to some things, you know, we play football and Thanksgiving and stuff like that, you know. So, yeah, some of your snowball fight, during that time, that's just something. Yeah.
That brings up a good point that I don't think I've mentioned so far. SJM is very much poking at everybody's nostalgia. Whether or not you had an annual snowball fight or not, it's like she's poking at, okay, what are the fun things you used to do and like make you feel this happy? And here they are. And it's like, there's a feeling of calmness and relief when you're reading it that makes it fun, is that she's poking at that. It's like,
there's something for everyone.
Well, you used to have fun things like playing cards and stuff like that.
It's like, what fun did you do with your family or friends or whoever it is that you hung out with for a holiday? And here's what it is. What?
Hung out in a Birchin with your brothers.
Oh yeah, what'd you think about the Birchin scene, the sauna scene?
Oh, that was...
Favorite getting
she got him all roused up and he kicked him out.
Now that we actually have a guy, have you ever been in a sauna?
Yeah.
Is it weird to be hard in a sauna? Is that why you get kicked out of the sauna?
That would be weird, yeah, because you're more relaxed and it's hot. I mean, it's like steamy, or whatever. Yeah. So him to get that way, yeah, that was funny.
Because I brought it up, and you haven't reached that part in our episode, but like I talked about it, and I said, as a straight guy, that's probably the worst thing that could happen if you were in a sauna with a bunch of straight guys, and all of a sudden someone got hard. Because are you assuming that he's getting aroused by one of y'all?
Yeah, that would be fun. Hey, look over there. Wait a minute. Get out of here.
Which is what happened.
Yeah, so that was funny too, yeah.
That is what I'm assuming with my female mind, is that's what you guys are thinking. And I guess I'm not that far off.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good enough.
And he's just, I wonder, because there wasn't much else to that scene. He's just like, it wasn't you guys, I swear.
Yeah.
Back in.
It was my mate messing with me.
Well, yeah, because she was doing it through the bond. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, I like that part.
It was hilarious.
I love it. Probably was one of my favorite moments of the book as well.
Oh yeah, because there's so many. Oh my god, there's so many jokes you could make with that.
Absolutely. But so we get to the end of Solstice Day. Well, not the end, but we get to the evening where
the party
is beginning. Everyone's gathered there except Predictable, and they start exchanging presents. Sorry, I'm just Varian.
Varian's there.
Varian's there, and Amryn seems very happy that he's there.
Being a random.
And so the party kind of gets full swing. They're exchanging the presents and everything's good. And then there's a knock on the door.
Mm.
And the one person who wasn't there but was invited shows up. We have Nesta. What did you think of Nesta showing up, like actually showing up to the party and coming in and sitting with everyone, even if she didn't really interact?
I was kind of surprised on that. So, yeah. But
You were surprised she even showed up, you mean?
Yeah, I was surprised she showed up, yeah. And then when it all ends up, kind of figured out, okay, well, she showed up for one reason and one reason only.
Did it surprise you how long she stayed, though? Like, watching everyone?
Yeah, that was surprising. That's right, yeah.
Because it almost seemed like for a moment she was, whether or not she was talking or not, she was enjoying herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was a moment there that she was happy, I think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't show it or anything, but I think she was.
But then Amryn left, and then it was ruined.
Yeah, then she's like, I'm out of here. Yeah.
And it's funny, them two would, but I think if there's anybody that she is close to, it'd be her.
Yeah.
Did you expect that kind of friendship for Amryn to get close to Nesta?
That was kind of weird. I thought that she was more of a loner. There again, Nesta has kind of went into her recluse state, so I think she's a loner too. So, and I think now them creating a bond, I think that may help her out. I don't know.
I think you're right on the head, though. I think that's what makes them so compatible, though, because they both know that. They both know when to give each other space, and they're not going.
Well, they're both hard-headed too. They were like that from day one.
They're not only similar how they were in power, though, because Amryn understands being scared about, because everyone's still scared about. So another big thing in this book is that they don't bring up the power, is that nobody has showed any sort of powers, Elaine or Nesta, and so they are assuming that the powers are gone because the cauldron was destroyed and reformed. It's bullshit. Definitely not. I could tell from a mile away that that's
if
not.
If life came back with the cauldron, then their powers must have come back, I think.
So the reason I say that is because Amryn understands being very intimidating to others, that she's someone that people fear. And so everybody fears Nesta in the very similar way. So they understand that, and they don't talk to each other in like a fearful way. When she walked in and called out, she's like, I can see your bony ass through the dress. She's not scared to push at her.
Right.
And I think that's what they both respect about each other.
Yeah, even got a smirk out of Nesta.
In a weird way.
Well, right. she had met her match. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. Sorry, I was just gonna go back a little bit because I did kind of brush over the exchanging of presents and like what some of them were.
Yeah, what were the favorite presents that were exchanged, if you remember?
Yeah.
Well, that kind of stood in my mind.
Cassian getting the sexy lingerie, because that was one of my favorites.
And then in return, Cassian getting shorts.
Yeah, okay. Now that remembers.
Cassian got more lingerie, and then everybody was kind of like, and then she's like, don't worry, I told him to get that.
I told him exactly what to get.
And then more giving everybody presents that they definitely didn't want.
Yeah.
Right.
What was your favorite presents that were given? Because I thought those were probably my top.
Yeah, probably the lingerie. Probably just because it's just so.
It's funny.
It's classic, and just everyone's reactions to Cassie being like, "Oh yeah, I did that."
I also think that the Elaine Azrael thing was funny, even though I'm not a big fan of Elaine. I thought it was funny that she's like, "Oh, that present's from me," and it was a headache powder since he rubs his temples so often.
That was a very comedic gift. I did appreciate that, even if I don't ship it. And okay, I gotta admit the painting from Feyre to Rhys, that was sweet as well.
The painting of her Ouroboros form, her mirror form. Again, SJM's comic timing of there being like this very intimate moment between Rhys and being like, oh my god, you're beautiful. Yeah, every inch of you. And then Cassian looks over, leans over, says, you didn't get like a new dog, did you? Because
are you getting a new pet?
Hell no.
Right.
He's a comic relief character, but at the same time, he's also more than that. He's like a main character to me. But
going back to Nesta, who didn't get any gifts, by the way.
She got the books from Elaine.
Well, yeah, that's true. The special romance book.
The special romance book. books.
But that was like the only gift that she ended up getting, and of course she didn't get anyone anything else.
Hey, the rent was her fucking present, okay?
That's true.
That was her present.
Although, like, continuing on, she left without grabbing the rent.
Mm-hmm.
She just, like, walked out the door.
She was about to leave without it.
And then Favor went after her and, like, here, thanks for coming. Like, bribery kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we finally get to what we talked about at the beginning, what we mentioned, is the whole Nesta-Cassian scene. Nesta deciding to go home and Cassian chasing after her. First of all, what was your overall reaction to that?
Yeah, I thought that was kind of sad in a way.
Mm.
I thought it was cool that he went after, because he had some for her.
He had a present.
Yeah, he had a present for her.
Which she did not take.
Yeah. So he threw that, in the water or something? Or what?
In the river.
Rather aggressively.
So, but his reaction, and he kept following her,
True gentleman wanting to walk her home.
Even when she rejected him.
Right. So that was, thought that would go different.
Did you like the graphic audio performance? Because I thought it was well done. Because I think it made me see the scene a little bit differently from the Natalie Nesta dynamic, the voice actor for her. I think because it started out I think I was picturing Nesta being bitchy the whole time during that scene when I read it personally. And then I listened to it and it's like at first she was kind of just go away. She was sharp. And then at some point Cassian got more aggressive with he's like, why don't you try a little harder this year? And she's like, try? And then he's like, yeah, and then he's getting like fucking riled up. And then she is it just plummets to go home, Cassian. It's almost like in defeat.
Yeah, they have a good back and forth.
Yeah.
Do you think she likes him?
I think she does, but she don't know how to go about it.
Because he is kind of forward about his feelings towards her, even if he hasn't directly said anything.
I mean, and yeah, it's like the whole end of, don't forget that. He basically all but gave her a love confession without saying, I love you.
Right.
He's like, oh, we'll meet in another timeline, another universe. It's like, oh my God.
I'll find you in the next lifetime. And it's like, okay, that's a confession right there. They kissed and now they're here.
About to die together. And then she's just full on pushing him. So you think that she likes him, but she doesn't know how to like him? Well, she's not doing a really good job of showing, because I think he fully does. I think he thinks she fully hates him or doesn't want him or doesn't think he's worthy enough to be around.
Yeah.
Unless she's thinking that she don't want to lose him again, like she almost did. So I don't know.
So push him away before he can get hurt again.
Interesting. Yeah. What a fucking stupid tactic. I'm gonna make you think I fucking hate your guts just so that you won't be in my vicinity because, death follows me everywhere. So you can't be in my...
She puts me in mind of one of them badass girls in high school, That's what she puts me in mind of,
So mom?
Yeah, pretty much. Her in high school, yeah.
Elaborate on the badass girl from high school. Like, what do you mean?
Well, the tomboy girl that played sports and she was all badass and this and that. She don't need no guy, and then all of a sudden, you get guys hitting on you and you don't know what to do, don't know how to handle it.
I see what you mean. It's just funny that like she has that trope, but she's anything less than a tomboy. She wears dresses all the time and like has not done anything physical from what we have seen.
Yeah. Well, that's Amron's thing when she come in with the dress on and seen her bony ass, So.
Yeah, no muscle whatsoever.
Yeah, that was funny.
Honestly, I could say the same thing about Amron though, because she's not a very physical person, but she had a lot of magic, which could be Nesta's character, where she might not be so physically trained, but could have very like strong magical powers, so that she wouldn't need it.
But at least I'm thinking the attack of Valaris. Like at least Amron was still able to run in the streets and help, even though like with her magic, she was defending with her magic. But at least she was able to run. With Nesta, how she is right now, I don't think she'd be able to run. Not one bit.
Nope, not at all.
Amron has that over. But I was just gonna say, like, even after like their spat, Cassian still waits for her to get home.
I know.
And of course, we're in Nesta's perspective now. She closes the door and she's like, she debates not letting him know that she's there. But eventually he does leave and she's like, good riddance.
She basically talks about how depressed she is and how she doesn't feel anything and that she got triggered by the fire because it sounded like her dad's neck snapping.
Right.
So it's almost like she's getting triggered by everything.
Well, she still hasn't moved on from that.
That was, honestly, if we think about it, that was very quick.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of a sudden they get it that, oh my god, their dad, that sequence of events was so quick. Because then the ships come, they realize it's him. Then right after, they come up with the plan to sabotage the king and get him to go over to Nesta instead. And then as soon as that happens, the king goes, grabs the dad, comes back, snaps his neck almost immediately, doesn't give him a monologue or anything, is just dead. And that's it. It was a very quick sequence of events to happen. To all compartmentalize that. First realizing that their dad was fighting for them for the whole year. Well, then also, oh, he's dead.
And the last thing he said to her after all of their fighting was, I love you. And she's just, wait, you can't leave me with that.
Mm-hmm. So that mess. What did you think the gift was before we continue? What do you think that he got her?
I just assumed it was probably a necklace or bracelet or something.
A necklace would be cute because she probably is a jewelry person. Maybe not as much as Amberyn, but I would say she likes jewels.
That's what I assumed, yeah.
Definitely a jewelry girl. Or a clothes girl.
And for it to be a small enough box, too. Of course, it would seem smaller in Cassian's hands, but...
That's a good answer. I didn't even think of that. I was literally reeling around it when I had this book for 2 years. I was like, what the fuck is that present? I have no idea.
Yeah, and I didn't even have that long to wait, but I wasn't able to come up with any ideas.
Yeah, so.
You know, I don't think he got her a knife.
Don't think it
she
would
wouldn't know how to use it.
Don't think it would have fit in that box.
Yeah.
I'm less worried about not hurting herself with a tiny knife. But after that emotional roller coaster... we get to go on another type of roller coaster. Finding ourselves back at the cabin.
The cabin.
The specifically fucking cabin. With Feyre and Rhys. Before we even dive into that, what did you have an overall reaction to their second cabin scene? Specifically a wall.
Oh, I kind of figured something was going to happen, you know, when they got back there, yeah.
Birthday night.
So all the stuff that she seen was still on the walls.
It's still there.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of figured shit was going to go down.
Birthday sex. Okay, was it way more than all of the other ones, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it was more intense, I guess. Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah.
It was less lovemaking.
It was less romancy.
Yeah.
It was definitely like pure fire at that point.
Yeah. Because I mean, Rhys did promise her a wall.
Oh, and he said, and like they talked about through the whole book, they were just about how desperate he was for connection, and then it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was a long graphic audio scene, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell our audience where you listened to this, by the way.
Where was I at? Was I out here in the driveway or what? Where was I at? I don't remember.
You told me you were at the laundromat when you were listening to that.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that.
So you were folding clothes when you were listening to it?
No. I was out in the truck listening to it. I had it playing out in the truck. And
So
I got to that scene. I'm like, oh shit! I hope it ain't too loud.
it could have been.
Yeah, that's where I was at. I couldn't remember where I was at. Yeah,
At least she wasn't inside folding clothes.
At least I remembered, because I was like wild.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was sitting out in the truck while stuff was going. Yeah.
I mean, the scene is great for the sense of like, okay, we've gone this whole book without any sort of romance. Well, they kind of did.
Kind of.
Some points, but like
We need specific explicit.
any SJM book has to have some sort of sex scene.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot of it, blowing it up. You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, foreshadowing it, you mean?
Yeah.
I think it was also important, though, because they hadn't been up back to the cabin. It was almost like, you know, another sort of reunion going back up there, because that's like their place.
Right.
And it was kind of similar to the last time at the cabin where we mentioned this in the episode where they had a very emotional talk first.
Yeah.
Before getting into the sex.
Right.
Because guitar controversy comes into play, and I want to know what your thoughts are. Because I think as they're going into this scene, right, they're talking about their future and what's to hold, and then we get the reveal of what his gift is, and that she wants to have a child with him, which is not surprising, but at the same time, like, she's like, I hope you think that this is a gift and that we can share. Because at first in ACOTAR, she's like, no, we don't want to have kids. I want to wait. I want to live with you, blah, blah, blah. But then it was the Weaver scene that made her rethink, and she's just like, you know, actually, life is too short. Like, we could die tomorrow. Why don't we just at least start trying to have a kid? It won't mean we have a kid tomorrow, but like, at least in the process of like actually trying to make one. And people in the fandom didn't like that at all. They thought Feyre was just getting wrote off as like, just a pregnancy tropes her, which obviously you're not in the fantasy, romantasy book craze. So I'll let you know what that means.
That's what that means.
When someone gets pregnancy troped in a book, that means that the character has kind of been written off as just, okay, you're gonna get pregnant and then that's kind of the end of the arc. Which, no. Like, this isn't what that... I'm very much against that. Why did they have to have a kid? First of all, my question is, why does having a kid, what's the problem with it? Because...
What ends her story with having a kid?
Does her story just... Like, so are you, as a person who is critic, saying that your life is just... Your story is over once you have a kid? I mean, I guess somebody could debate that, but...
Well, did they talk about them even being able to have kids, you know?
They can. It just takes a long time because they're fae. Like, they're high fae, which means... They brought this up in the first book, that it takes a long time for them to, you know...
Children are rare.
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, you said the Weaver, when she started talking about, you know, she lost her husband, they didn't have any kids and stuff like that, that got her thinking that, hey, we need somebody to carry this on.
Mm-hmm. So do you think her wanting to have a kid is necessarily, like, bad writing? Or do you think that that's...
No, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's carrying on the story.
And it is kind of carrying on their journey in a way. It's a new step. Like, I mean, if you're thinking about somebody, if we're talking about the normal everyday Joe in a relationship, it's like you get to the marriage part and then what is next?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Family.
Right.
So it makes perfect sense to me. I don't think she's getting written off as like a pregnancy trope character, because normally when somebody says somebody got pregnancy trope, they're in the middle of the story. Like, let's say in this equivalency, it'd be in the middle of Mist and Fury when they haven't even made it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden she's pregnant. And then it's like, oh, well, I guess I have to be with you now. It's more by circumstance instead of falling. It's a completely different trope, which I completely disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
I also think this book in itself is the reason for why she wants to have a kid.
Yeah.
So, and I think there's nothing wrong with that.
And I think it specifically, it explains in here her reasoning for it,
Mm-hmm.
rather than just, bam, she's pregnant. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they've established their relationship already. We're in the fourth book, and they've decided they're mates. They've both died for each other and come back. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, well, we both died. Let's let's have a kid so that we don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I also just think that that's people when they get into a fantasy book, it's like, why do kids have to ruin it? Okay, well, bitter, first of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's not going to do that. I don't think.
Kids don't ruin stories.
Also, Feyre doesn't just automatically not become badass just because she's a mother.
Right. In fact, it honestly would make her more badass, because mothers are badass.
That honestly is a little insulting
Yeah.
for others to be, because I don't think that they're thinking that that's how they're insulting somebody, but it is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're just a mom now. It's like, just? Excuse me?
Like, I'm doing more things than you are.
Did you carry a baby for 9 months?
But it would be interesting to see what it's like and be like. Yeah.
Do you think it would look like the bone carver depicted, or do you think not?
I don't know. If she goes on with the book, I mean, yeah, I mean, I think probably that's what Farrah seen him as a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but they're also assuming that.
Right. Like we kind of talked about in our episode of like maybe what they saw was their child, but maybe it's not their first child. Maybe it's their second or third.
I said, Daddy, you would love this, because my dad watched Once Upon a Time. He's pulling like a reverse Rumpelstiltskin. It's not the first kid, it's like the last kid. So they're gonna keep pumping out kids, and then the last kid they have, it's like, oh, this one turned out like that.
Oh, did this one have wings, or it didn't have wings, or
This one had the wrong color eyes. This one wrong color hair.
So it's interesting. I think that I think that's what that scene was also supposed to be, and it's like, okay, baby making scene, okay, let's do it. It's like the Twilight baby making scene that you don't know. Dad watched it though, because we made it, me and Mom.
Oh, they were on. Well, I don't even know if I should even. They were on like an island or something, or I don't know why I remember that.
Island baby making.
They were on Carlisle's personal island.
Yeah.
Dad, you have random facts. You remember you said that.
I know. Why I have them, I don't know.
They were so traumatizing that they're just seared in his brain.
They're good to bring up in a pinch, though.
But yeah, like it was a good scene. I loved how like raunchy it is, but also at the same, like, buckle up, because that's just
hold on tight.
That's just the tip of the iceberg with how like much it gets. So be careful. Not looking forward to that at all. So do you not like those scenes, or are those kind of scenes you're just kind of going through?
No, they don't bother me, you know.
But there's no substance there for you. It's just kind of like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, okay. They're doing that. Okay, whatever.
I love how that's the men mentality versus the woman mentality. It's like, oh my God, they had such an emotional scene, and then there's so many feelings. And for the dude, it's just, oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, that's why we asked for it.
So I guess then my end of the book remark. So what did you think of the end of the book then? Because we got like where everyone's going, right? We got the Moore scene where I know we kind of brushed past that, but there's also so many things we could dive into. That Moore, Reese is asking Moore to go to the continent and be an emissary, and she's actually deciding to do that. So she's going there. Cassian went back to the Illyrian steps. He's going to be working there, trying to gain trust back of some sort.
Right.
We don't really know what that means, but basically there. And Azrael's free agenting around, like he's still, shadow singering.
Spy mastering.
He's spy mastering around.
He's still checking on everything, yeah.
But he's also kind of unknown. He doesn't really necessarily have a task.
Yeah.
It's kind of just all over. Of course, Nesta's going nowhere. Elaine is also going nowhere with her storyline. Lucian, Thassa, Jurian are all intermingled there, and then Feyre and Rhysand, that's their ship name, with being High Lord and High Lady, and also their potential child, but also Feyre's big reveal of what this is her happiness arc. This is the end of her story, sort of. At least in our eyes, that we're going to be witnessing.
Right. We don't get her perspective anymore.
Is that she got the studio didn't buy because they just gave it to her. Paulina's studio.
She tried to buy it.
She tried, yeah.
That the parents told her to give that. Well, specifically, Paulina's sister told her to give it to the charity that she would have used the money to pay them for. And she made a studio with Rosina as a business partner and other artists that will come and work there,
like guest teachers and stuff.
Yeah, and like they teach young kids, and that's her art. That's her purpose now, is trying to give kids an artistic outlet to get out, fun things, depressing things, and just all over the map.
Express themselves.
So do you think that's a fitting end for her, or like what did you think of the end of the where everyone's at and where it's going?
I think on her side it's a foreshadowing of her having a kid. I think
because she has to deal with children now.
Working with children, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because he had the one little boy that spilled paint or whatever, got paint on.
Yeah, made a bubble and then popped it in Rosina's face.
Right. So yeah, kind of to me that okay, well this is what it's gonna be.
Just letting you know what you're getting into.
Right. And they're good with it. I mean, they'll be good parents. I mean,
that's good.
If she can deal with a bunch of little kids running around, she should be able to deal with one.
The question everybody had: do you think that the kid will have extremely powerful powers, or is he going to be a normie?
That's a good question.
Because usually in these fantasy stories, it's either there's two powerful parents, and then they create a normal child.
That's true.
Or they're two powerful fucking parents, and then they create this fucking interdimensional, my thought was, and this was pre-Silver Flame, so I'm okay to say, and pre-other SJM shit. I was thinking that this kid would be able to interdimensional walk. That this kid's just gonna be able to fucking teleport worlds.
Going to the next level.
Yeah, that gets you back to the Incredibles, remember?
Mm-hmm.
The one she could...
Invisibility,
and the other one was speed, and then the little baby had everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jack. Yeah, have a child that's a Jack.
That's probably gonna be what it's gonna be, and they're not gonna be able to handle it.
Jack is the face and child.
Yeah. Where'd he go? I don't know.
He's in the walls.
I think because it's interesting, right? Because Liesl brought it up in our last deep dive episode. It was like, this is the first time that we're seeing a child of a maid person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Because they don't never talk about that.
So, and we don't know if Miriam and Drake can have children. I'm assuming not. But even so, Miriam's interesting. Miriam's kind of like a side. She was not made in the same way.
And I guess also in the sense of, regardless of being made. Sorry, I'm just thinking about the fact that their child will probably be, part Illyrian.
Oh, yeah. He's going to be like a fourth Illyrian or something. Yeah. Because Reese is half. So then he would be fourth.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if the child would have wings, because the Bone Carver didn't have wings.
Or is that the thing where he has Reese's powers to be able to poof his wings away?
Well, like Vera.
Right.
She can do it too.
Hers is more physical growing of it.
Their powers intermingling, that's going to be bad.
Are they going to be born with them? Come out flapping?
But that also brings up the potential threat, too. Because the High Lords and Baron already doesn't like that Feyre Feyre has their power. So if they have a kid and that kid also has High Lord magic,
he's gonna be hunted down.
they're gonna be gunning for him.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
because Baron already doesn't like the fact that she has his powers. Probably still is looking for a way to kill her.
And probably it would transfer down a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Probably.
Specifically just to piss Baron off, give this kid the fire magic.
Specifically, he's really good at the fire magic. It's Baron off.
So I think every time something is brought up, it brings up the threat which I think is very interesting. It's like, yeah, Faison having a child, that's cute. But
Maybe
what
not.
about everyone else? And then, of course, they have the other big reveal that Rhys is like, the townhouse is too, especially when they were all there that night for Solstice, like, this place is too fucking small for us. He bought her the land. So he's making her build a house, babe. Build a house and they're calling it the River House, and a big fucking mansion.
Build it from the ground up.
Right.
Like you
can
decide
have a
everything.
studio and rooms for everybody. Yeah.
What do you think about this River House idea? Or in a real life sense, isn't that the best though, when you're able to get a plot of land and be able to make your own house?
Well, yeah.
That's the dream.
That's your dream, yeah. Your dream goal, yeah.
Random sidebar, what would we all have in your house? Like, if there was one thing specifically in this, if you could build your own house, what would you have? Just one like random thing.
I have my own playroom, the pinball machines and, the old pinball machines and stuff. I'd have a pool table. I mean, that would all my tractors around.
So like a man cave?
Yeah.
I admit I also thought of like a basement, like with a pool table and arcade games and kind of just a place to chill. No, what I would have, a movie theater. That's what I'd have.
You can make that also a room, put a big screen or whatever.
Put a sheet.
That's true.
Literally, we do that here. Literally put a sheet along the walls and just
have lounge chairs and stuff.
But you mean, like Dad's saying, like the actual lounge chairs, like in a projector of sorts that's like high quality. And, okay.
A specific like space for it.
Or like actually have, if we're gonna go fucking all out, like literally have a cinema level machine, not just a projector. I'm talking like cinema level machine of being able to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean,
I know what you'd have.
I mean, yeah, I would have a pool of some sort. It'd have to be some grand pool too. If we're going all out, it wouldn't just be. It'd be some grand ass pool.
And then you'd also have a grand spiral staircase to walk down in your flowing dresses.
Yes, grand spiral. And then I really have always, whenever I look at houses, which my generation is not going to be able to buy a house. I'm just letting y'all know. We are not going to be able to buy a house until all the people above us are gone.
Right.
Look at this economy with houses. But anyway, I'm not talking about real life. But I've always wanted like a library nook, an actual space to have like just things of bookshelves, and then an actual nice, especially with like one of those big bay windows
and a window seat
to sit at and read. Always wanted something like that. So I think that would be cool to have in a house. We're projecting on Feyre's house. Make a pool. They live on the river, so they wouldn't even need a pool in the mansion.
Would they go swimming in the Citra though?
Well, it's definitely not like any river that's around us. It'd be a nice clear river.
True.
But I guess then, before Liesl gets into the last bit, where do you think everyone's going? Or who are you excited to see?
That's a good question. I want to see where Rhys and Feyre go, but I mean, because they're two of their main characters, Cassie and Azriel, see where they go.
Okay.
Maybe he can go over there. Maybe Cassie can go over there and, just have his way with Ness, maybe. That's what it's going to take. I mean, probably.
I mean, he's a freaking, he's a charmer.
You fell for him.
He's just going to have to go over and bust the door down and just take it,
Take it. Oh, Dad.
Because her dumb ass, she's not going to do anything.
That's true. If she uses like sex in this way to kind of cope, that might be a way to get through.
I think that's what she's scared about the most with him. That's why she doesn't want to be around him. Is that we even said that in our episode that he's even though she's walking away, telling him to fucking go, and he is still being like, "Oh, but I want to make sure you get home." She's like, "Why are you so fucking nice?"
Yeah, she's scared of something good would happen.
She's scared of something good for herself.
Self-sabotage. And who hasn't done that in a relationship? I implore all the fucking audience. When have you? Everyone does it. Okay, I'm not saying that I'm giving Nesta a pass on this, but like everybody has a moment where they have fucking self-sabotaged themselves from being happy.
Yeah.
Because everyone's like, wait, I am happy? No.
No, not.
Everyone does it.
Well, you may not know you're doing it.
Exactly. Well, there's
Sometimes.
a level of, with her, there is a level of she gets it. But
Yeah.
yes, or that she understands what she's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't figure out a way to stop it seems.
But dad means like in the real world. Sometimes like, I don't know I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I see.
Sometimes you don't know a good thing when it happens.
Mm-mm.
She certainly didn't. I mean, she got to kiss Cassian.
Yeah.
And you'd think from there it would have gone better. She got to kiss the Illyrian general badass, and then she's still pushing him away.
A dumb decision, in our opinion, but
Definitely mine.
certainly. You would have given anything. Anyway. But as we're kind of coming to a close here, well, so there's one more book currently, Court of Silver Flame. After reading this far, up to these 4 books, did you have any predictions for what's going to come in A Court of Silver Flames?
Well, I think there's going to be more fighting because I think the Illyrians and some of the others are going to clash.
Do you think there's going to be more fighting? Yeah, I mean, yes, there's definitely going to be more conflict.
Yeah, I think, and fighting over the whose land's what.
Land conflict, okay.
And then I think you're going to see recent bear have kids.
Oh, you think they're going to have a kid in the next book?
I think.
Okay.
I think they already. The precursor was the cabin seed.
His seed is strong.
Yeah.
She's just extra fertile.
Dude, that's how they say it in Game of Thrones.
So I think that's gonna happen. I'm not so sure about Nesta and Cass. I'd like to see them get together, but I don't know about that. But we'll see.
So what we can say is that yes, this book is centered around Nesta. Nesta's point of view. But that's all we can say.
That's gonna be interesting.
Definitely so, because nobody likes her going into this book, or not a lot of people did. Do you think you'll like her by the end of it, is the real question.
If she wakes up,
Okay.
find out what's good for her,
But do you think Cassian and Nesta are endgame?
I still think it is still showing.
They're just making it too difficult.
Yeah.
I guess then what conflicts are we going to see? Because we got so many of them in this one. We got the human queens, we got the sorcerer with Vasa and all that, we got the Illyrian threat. Are we going to be facing everything, or are we just going to be getting one thing, do you think?
No. We're not so sure that the queens are still alive. Maybe we don't know that until somebody maybe tries to go in there and take it. But, even Az he can't see what's going on.
Yeah, he can't get in there.
Which I don't know why. It'd be interesting to figure out why that is.
There again, you don't know what's going on there. So I don't know. It's interesting.
I guess are you pumped for this next book?
Yeah.
For it being very more actiony, longer, adult?
Be interesting.
And then you're on to I told Dad the plan, because then it's on to Throne of Glass, baby. and then Crescent City, and he's on his way. You're almost done with the first SJM universe, and I'm very proud of you.
So this is the last one that she's written so far.
For this universe, yes.
Yeah.
And then it's Throne of Glass.
Well, it'd be interesting to see how if she leave the door open to move on.
Oh yeah, I think she left the door open for every book series.
Well,
In a weird way, she's left the door open all the time.
where you can get more out of the character or whatever. Yeah.
I mean, ACOTAR was definitely an ending. Like, you could have ended it there, but there was also a lot left unanswered. That could have just been left unanswered, but she decided to continue with it, and I'm glad she did, because Silver Flame was definitely worth it, I think. And Silver Flame's a big top for a lot of people, so I'm excited for you to listen to it.
It's the biggest of all 5.
The longest one. So actually, speaking of that, going into our outro, we just figured this out today, because we've been talking about it for the whole rest of the season. Obviously, we still have our mom's episode left next week, but what's going to happen for Silver Flame, which I hate to do this to you, but trust me, it's part of the process. We're going to have you read half of it, and then do an episode, and then read the other half, because there is so much jam-packed into this book. There's no way we could do one of these episodes at the end and not be here for hours.
Right, that'd be honestly 8 hours at that point.
And so it was actually mom who came up with the idea to do it half and half, because she's read it before, obviously, so she knows, and it was a good idea. So we already have it planned out where you need to stop, and I'll give you all those details and whatever. But yes, so we're going to have it as a 2-parter next season, because next season is going to be pretty big. So await further details from me, but I'm so excited for you to get into it, and a good halfway stopping point. And then you can read on after the episode as soon as we do our episode, you can read on.
Is there a good halfway stopping point?
I mean, where I stopped, it's pretty good. Like, it's
It seems good.
yeah, it's a good stopping point. Probably the only one there could be. Okay. Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Dad, for coming. We really love this as always. So please follow our TikTok, our Facebook, and Instagram. We are getting way more support with the TikTok, so thank you so much. And if you want to follow our Patreon for free, that'd be great. Or you can become one of our members and get some early access, video access, and my notes access for payments. So $3 a month for the high pay and $5 a month for the inner circle. So if you want to go support us that way, please go to our Patreon. It's in our link tree. And then as well, is there anything else I'm missing?
I don't think so.
So get ready for our last episode of the season with both of our moms coming on and talking over Frost and Starlight. So that'll be our last episode. 8 episodes in a season. Wow.
Shortest season ever.
But good. This season doesn't need to be that long.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see you guys all in the next episode. So bye.
Bye.
Bye.